Okay, so going back to the more traditional Yap sessions, no Google Doc today, no Loom video. I feel like these videos are a little bit more engaging than just me like autistically ranting on a Google Doc. And this is just a lesson that I wanted to basically share that came from an unfortunate situation. So the main lesson here is that your depth of understanding and depth of knowledge in a specific field is going to basically dictate a lot of your results. And the lesson came from, I hired someone in the business. It was kind of the role was meant to be sort of like an apprenticeship type role. And they're obviously, meant to be sitting quite closely with me. And for various reasons, that person's going to leave now. A lot of that's my fault. I'm not the easiest person to work for. I can be quite short, I can be quite abrupt. That's probably its own video, right? A particular management style. But, I called him to basically try and convince him to continue to stay on. And, while we got on the call, it became very clear that wasn't going to be the case, that he was pretty keen in leaving. So once we had ascertained that, the rest of the call almost became like an offboarding call where we both gave each other honest feedback, and he had some great feedback for me, which I'm obviously going to try and take on board. But some of the feedback I gave for him was that I felt like he didn't go deep enough, and he wasn't curious enough, and he wasn't asking enough questions. And the lesson here is this guy's a really smart guy, right? He's worked in banking, and I think people that work in sort of banking, management consulting, those kind of like high IQ, naturally smart, high work ethic type people, sometimes they can fall into a trap because it's very easy for them to come in and understand what the business model is. Like if I explained to a bunch of people at the co-working space what we do, for some people it would genuinely take them a little while to understand, right? Whereas for people like him, he can come in and very quickly understand what's the business model, how does it make money, what's the edge. And that can also be a downfall, because what you can do in your brain is you can quickly tick off and go, oh, I get that. And you then switch onto autopilot, but you don't actually maximize, what's in front of you by going deep and extracting all the knowledge and then giving yourself a skill set to go and, do it on your own or do something similar. And a good example of this is there's a golfer, Phil Mickelson, and people who play golf or at least are, somewhat interested in golf will know who this is. Obviously, people who don't, it doesn't really matter, because the example is there's this video of him crapping on about his drive and how far he hits his drive and how that's impacted by the angle of the club face and the speed of his swing and how much dew there is in the air and all of these different things. So he knows he drives the ball a certain distance, but with all these other things taken into account, he can adjust that, right? And that's how he can hit very accurate shots. He can go and hit, instead of 150 yards, he can hit 141 or 173 and all that, right? But the depth that he went into, to literally just him crapping on about a golf shot. And it reminded me of the conversation I had with this employee, where I asked him candidly, I said, hey, I just felt like you didn't really want to go deep enough. Like, I just didn't understand why. You came in as an apprentice. Fair enough if I had hired you with an external job post and you were just coming in, doing your job, that's fine. I'm not expecting everyone to be passionate about the business, but with this particular role, I just didn't understand why he didn't want to go deeper. And he said, look, I just felt like the business is very simple. We put an ad up, we push an offer, we build out a funnel, we build out an upsell sequence, and it makes money. And on face value, that kind of is what that particular business was. And again, if you relate it back to the golf, it would be like me, an amateur golfer, having a lesson with Phil, and then me really just, hitting a few, I sliced that one, hooked that one, all right, no worries, shaking his hand at the end. And then him at the end going like, gee, man, I thought you were going to ask me a few more questions. Like, I was surprised. And me going, well, what do you mean? You just go up to the tee, you hit the ball, and the ball goes in the hole. Like, that's it. Yes, that's kind of how it works. But you need to go deeper than that, because the point I was trying to make, to this employee, who's also a friend who, I want to be very successful as well. And that's why I gave the feedback. And it's the same point I'm trying to make in this video is once you understand the edge of a business model and fundamentally how it all works, you've now gotten to level one. You've gotten to level one, right? And that's just like, it would be like me going and understanding how a marketing agency works. Like, yeah, fundamentally I know how it works, but I've never run a marketing agency. There'd be a lot of tactical things that I wouldn't be aware of that my marketing agency friends would be, that would put me at a huge disadvantage in that business model. Now, I'm a smart guy. If I started running a marketing agency, absolutely it would work after a certain period of time, right? With my network, with my ability to acquire information, with my understanding of how different business models work. But for me to say right now, someone could chuck me in as CEO of a marketing agency and I could run it really, really well right now, that just wouldn't be the case, because there'd be so many tactical things that I wouldn't know. And that was the point I was trying to make. And another really good example of this is, recently I got involved in a lead generation business. And my business partner in that business is new to lead generation. I'm new to lead generation. And we're competing with guys who have been in the game 4 or 5 years, teams who have been in for 9 or 10 years. And again, that was kind of a good, we're getting good results. Like, the business is profitable, we're doing well, but it hasn't been like not getting the explosive results that I would get, say, with ecom. And sometimes it literally just is a time thing, because we just don't have the depth of knowledge yet that other people may have. We don't have the relationships with certain vendors. We don't have the teams built out to scale multiple offers. We, don't have the right cash conversion cycle in the business, whatever it may be. And that can be 20 little things all stacked up across the business. And that can be the difference between $50,000 of profit a month and $500,000 of profit a month, or $1 million. And another good example would be, e-commerce from this year till last year. Last year compared to this year, we'll do probably 8 to 9 times the profit this year that we did last year. And that has only come from increased depth of knowledge and skill set. And every month I feel like there are new things that I'm learning and that I'm uncovering. And fundamentally, again, e-commerce is a very simple business model. It's traffic, you're selling a product, you're shipping it, you're trying to make a margin there in the end. But underneath that, there are so many layers, and it's so highly tactical, and there's so much depth of knowledge that you can only possibly get from being incredibly curious, from questioning everything, and I'm talking about absolutely everything, right? On the creative side, why did we use this hook? Why is the video this length? Why did we introduce the product there? Why is he being chosen as the authority figure around the product? Why is this the story? Why did you use this structure? The depth of which you can go into is just infinite. That's literally one part of the business. Another guy, Alan Soltanic, you can see the depth he has gone into in marketing across the last probably 20 years. The way he writes, the depth of knowledge in certain topics, he just has such a deep understanding of that, area of knowledge that it's insane. And of course, he can now go into most business models and really quickly identify the bottleneck in the marketing and scale them up. And that's kind of the point of this whole video, is you need to go deep. It's not good enough anymore to go surface level, because surface level is what gets you mediocre dog shit results. If you want to make 5K a month and you want to get dog shit results, then yeah, go surface level. It doesn't matter. If you want to play with the big boys and you want to make fucking millions, you need to go deep. Otherwise, you'll get fucking eaten alive. And that's kind of the message of the video. So I hope you enjoyed this one.